Leading our bulletin this half hour, the ANC in Western Cape is calling on Social Development Minister Susan Shabangu to intervene after 8 people perished in a shack fire in Khayelitsha in Cape Town. 3 shacks burned down in the Taiwan informal settlement in Khayelitsha. The dead are thought to be from one family. The city's fire and rescue services reported that 4 informal structures were destroyed, with 22 people being displaced.
The Khayelitsha Development Forum is seriously saddened by what has just happened here in this area of Taiwan, where for right now we do not know what were the causes or what could have been the cause for the fire. But the problem for us is that the people of Taiwan, it would seem that they are just simply condemned, because this area has been here for more than 25 years and it's never been serviced, and there's no sign that there will ever be servicing of this area. What is always bad for us, for people like ourselves at KDF, is always come here on TV and say we are sorry, we're sympathetic, we pass on messages of condolence all the time. But we think that government, at the closest tier of government, which is the city of Cape Town, I think at least 8 lives must mean something. And if it does mean something, somebody must take responsibility, not for the deaths, but take responsibility for the development of Taiwan.
We are going to supply building material so that at least tonight before they sleep, they've got a shelter over their heads. And also we have contacted SASA to supply aid and relief in the form of blankets, foods, and so on. We are talking to NGOs and other people who may donate to assist us so that this family, at least during this time of grieving, they got food, they got shelter under their heads. The city of Cape Town has a policy of assisting where there are destitute families. Like in the case of death, in this family, 8 people lost their lives. So we do have a fund where we assist with funerals. So we are waiting for the family to come together and speak to us, and we'll take things from there. We as the city of Cape Town, we have preparations in place to deal with any fire disaster that may happen, including flooding, because in winter there's a lot of flooding that happens and a lot of fires that happen. So the city of Cape Town has plans in place. But unfortunately, this accident here, it is alleged that it happened after there was a fight between the members of this family and some other residents. That is the matter that is now in the hands of the police.
Yeah, when we arrived there, we already had the 4 structures that were destroyed. We extinguished the fire, and we were informed by the community that there are still people inside. We then proceeded to locate all the victims, and we managed to locate all 8 of them. The incident was then handed over to the South African Police Services for their investigation, and they subsequently have come back to say that this is a possible arson attack. Yeah, unfortunately, as I said, we have handed this over to the South African Police Services, and it's for their investigators to come back and say exactly what they find. We've basically done our part of it and extinguished and located all the fatalities. Now it's up to the police to determine what the exact cause and how it actually happened.
The city of Cape Town says they are intensifying their plan to educate people in densely populated informal settlements about how to deal with disasters ahead of the winter season. Also adding that 3 departments have put up a plan to address the issue of informal settlements following the tragic loss of 8 lives in a shack fire in the wee hours this morning. Nasipisame, Khayelitsha in Cape Town.
Tensions remain high in Protea Glen south of Soweto as residents go on the rampage in a bid to block a group of people from illegally occupying vacant land. Residents barricaded roads with rocks and burning tires, claiming they were fed up with authorities not taking their concerns seriously. Residents are complaining that shacks erected by land grabbers on the vacant land will devalue their houses. They say if authorities do not intervene, black-on-black violence may erupt. Protests in the area have been going on for the past week. Now, Councillor Mzobanzi Ntuli, member of the Mayoral Committee for Housing, joins us on the phone line. Mr. Ntuli, what exactly is the latest pertaining to the story at this point?
No, in fact, here there is an issue around the Protea Glen residents and the people who are trying to illegally occupying land. So now people in the area feel that people are coming from all over to come and occupy their neighborhood. So that is where the issue is.
I know that the residents of Protea Glen, particularly the house owners, have been calling for the mayor to come and address them, saying what they really want here is not to fight other black citizens, but rather to have the mayor put this matter to bed, to say what exactly must happen with those that want to erect their shacks next to their bond houses.
No, in fact, I'm not going to run away from the fact that they were calling for the mayor to come and address them. But our first priority there was to deal with the issue of those who were invading, to make sure that they are not invading, but at the same time we engage them. That is why now we have a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock with the representatives of the property owners to explain exactly what will be our approach as the city in this matter. Because we feel that those who are also trying to invade need our engagement as the city to explain our position going forward, knowing very well that people are in need of land, but what we think as the city is that if we all wake up early in the morning and go to occupy the land and claim that we are in need of land, what is going to happen at the end of the day?
But then that very statement to say that they claim they are in need of the land, perhaps most of us cannot deny that they're in need of the land, but perhaps the how they go about resolving this problem is the matter, or you believe they're not even in need?
Once people are using that opportunity to say we are in need of land, criminal activities comes in, because currently we want to investigate that there are people who paid a certain individuals a certain amount of money to get those pieces of land. But at the same time, you know, when we are occupying land in numbers, we ended up having people who are not qualified to benefit. Others are already benefited. Others are foreign nationals. They are not supposed to benefit in the country. But through the way people are using, we might end up having people who are not supposed to benefit. We have a clear understanding what people are looking for, but at the same time, I want to appeal to our communities, let us not do this.
And then beyond this, how do you plan to address it? Because at times we have a situation where local government is pointing fingers at provincial and provincial, also pointing at local government, where people are sent from pillar to post, but the most important thing is that they need decent housing.
No, we agreed with the province. We agreed with the province. We are one government of South Africa. We might be in a local, they might be in a provincial or national, but at the end of the day, people of South Africa need us to give them services. So as I'm talking to you, the plan here is to engage all communities that are affected. The community of Protea Glen property owners need us as the city to give them our position in terms of what we want to do going forward, because their feeling there is that as the city we might allow people to erect shacks near their bonded houses, of which it is not correct. But at the same time, we also need to engage those who want land, as they are saying, because amongst them we have people who are qualifying, who registered for houses long time ago, and those people are qualifying. They need to benefit out of this, but through the system they are using, we might end up having people who benefited while they are not supposed to. People who came to Johannesburg last year are going to benefit on top of people who registered in 96, 97. So it's very important for us to look at it closely by engaging those communities. That is why we want to engage councillors and the community representatives from Protea Glen.
So what have you resolved with those who invaded the land?
We want to engage the leadership because in each and every situation there are leaders. We want to engage the leadership of those people to find out more. Who are those people? Are they registered with the city? Because as I'm talking to you, between the city and the province, we agreed to come up with a program of sites and service where we are saying, let's go to an open land belongs to the government and pack stand, give services to those people. Then while you're going, following processes of government when you are establishing a township, at least people knows that they are sitting in their stands. You give them a paper while they are waiting a proper title deed. But that is what we are trying to do, to speed up the issue of RDP or houses delivered. So that is what we are doing right now.
But at this point then we've got the property owners protesting. They didn't go to work today. They say they want to be addressed. They want at least the local government to bring this matter to finality. But you're saying the first point is to engage the invaders, or at least their leadership. So it means for the whole week they will be protesting, or what will happen now?
I don't think people will continue protesting if we are engaging them. As I'm talking about, property owners need our engagement. What we are planning to do, we need to give them exactly what is our plan going forward, because their concern, as I said, is about the city allowing people erect shacks next to their bonded houses. But at the same time, it's not look good for the South Africa, a democratic South Africa where we have freedom, to see people being chased away by police like the previous era in terms of apartheid. But currently what we are going to do, we want to engage those communities, make them understand what will be the implications going forward if they continue invading land in that way. So that is what we are going to do going forward, because people need our engagement.
Now, beyond this, a number of people have said the situation or crisis of land invasion cannot just be criminalized. You also need politicians to come to the fore. That it cannot just be said that these invaders are criminals, because there have been political decisions made in Parliament. There's a process starting now for expropriation without compensation. Perhaps to a certain extent, we cannot just leave this to law enforcers to handle, but also perhaps for there to be some sort of political communication. What's your take on that?
You know, currently what is happening, you know, in Parliament they passed a motion that says we are going to expropriate land without compensation. But on our side as the city, we need the government to unpack that, because it cannot be correct for us, all of us, to go to land and occupy it, claiming that there is the motion in Parliament that was passed. We want to see the distribution of land amongst our communities equally, instead of having certain individuals benefiting for themselves. As I'm talking about those who are using this opportunity to benefit for themselves. There are people who are benefiting out of all what is happening. There are genuine community members who are looking for land, but amongst those genuine community members, there are people who are genuinely engaging in criminal activities by trying to enrich themselves.
And then beyond this, I'm just in closing, you say that you haven't managed to speak to the property owners, or at least the mayor hasn't managed to go. Was a representative sent, or the best communication is the one we're having now?
No. What we are doing right now, our communication, we follow the proper channels of engaging or communicating with ward councillors, because ward councillors will be able to identify stakeholders in the community leaders, community structures, people who can be engaged on behalf of the community. It was too difficult to engage communities in the street, because people, when they are protesting, you can't engage them and expect that you will get something out of those engagements. But through proper channels, through proper structures of the community, you can engage and get it exactly what communities are saying.
No, Mr. Ntuli, thank you very much for your time. That's MMC for Housing, Mr. Mzobanzi Ntuli, talking to us there on the protests in Protea Glen.